Welcome to Soul Therapy with Chelle. I am Chelle Griffin and I practice as a soul doula. I combine therapeutic knowledge and lived experience with a healthy dose of spiritual exploration. Feel welcome to join me as we learn and grow together, exploring the magic and wonderment of experiencing life on earth as a spiritual being. Today's episode is going to be, quite a challenging one, I think. I think I'm a pretty open book in my personal life, but obviously working as a therapist, there needs to be some boundaries about how much therapist shares of themselves. Now in Gestalt Therapy, we are trained to share as little as possible but as much as necessary, which I think in traditional like cognitive behaviour therapy, the therapist's role is to not have a wall up so much, but not be in the therapy session as themselves, that they're the facilitator of the client or the patient doing the inner work themselves and exploring. In Gestalt Therapy, it's very much about the relational and the space in between the client and therapist, in bringing out that connection between the two as a way of really practicing how each of them do life in the outside world, outside of that therapeutic space. It's a safe, contained space to work in, but I find with my clients that if I share just a little bit of like where I resonate with what they're going through and show curiosity in areas that I can't personally relate to, but as a therapist I can. It's building that connection so that you're providing that safe environment for your client to deepen their own awareness of themselves. So from that, today I really want to focus on going through when things are really tough, when we're in a bit of a funk. And I've been seeing this play out, particularly over the last little while, that we all have our ebb and flows in life, but sometimes like the lows are really low and they're really hard to get out of. And I know I've had moments of that, days of that, and I work with people who experience that for much longer stretches of time and need additional support, whether it's medication, psychiatry support, psychological support, and therapeutic support, spiritual, mental, emotional support. It's a tender topic. It's not something we dive into over a coffee or in the playground waiting for the kids to finish school or in the shopping line or at the dog park. It's something we just share with those that we're closest to and feel safest with. And I'm wondering, like we've been talking about grace and gratitude and presence over the last few episodes, and I'm wondering how different life would be in our wider community if we could just be honest and open about, I'm just having a shit of a time. I don't know what's going on, or I've got all this going on and I'm really struggling. Imagine how community could show up and rally around and support that individual or that family going through that rough time if they have awareness of it. I know how hard it is to reach out for help. I am one of those people. I learned from a very young age that help came with conditions or strings attached and didn't flow easily or unconditionally. And I know that I am my go-to. If I need to get something done or push through something, I'm the only one that can do it. And that is true to a certain extent. We are responsible for how we respond to any given situation. However, we are also surrounded by people who love and care and want to make a difference and help. And I know I'm that person for a lot of people in my circle, yet I find it difficult to allow them in to help me out. That's been a learned behaviour over many years. So it's something that I have to consciously practice and really step up and put my hand up and ask for what I want. And everyone reserves the right to say, no, I don't have the capacity for that right now. And that doesn't have to be about me. That's just where they are. Then I can look in another direction and go, actually, can you help me out? Imagine that world if we could just be really open and honest. So I'm just really feeling for how do we pull ourselves out of that funk. I don't necessarily think we should. I really don't like the word should. I feel that when we are in a bit of a funk and a low spot, there's beauty in that, sitting in that discomfort, that limbo, uncertainty, anger, pain, heartbreak. All those emotions are so valid. They're as equally as valid as love and excitement and happiness and joy and fun. So why do we make all of those lower moments so wrong that we have to always be on? Why do we, when we greet someone, just say oh, how are you? I'm fine. What if we were to go, no, actually I'm not fine? We don't need to go into the depths and details of it, but just by being honest, you're giving that other person permission to be honest with you, and therein lies connection. You can relate to each other. Someone may really resonate with you just sharing that. You can still have boundaries about how much you go from there and share. So how do we hold space for ourselves and an other who is needing support when they're in a low point of their life? We don't know how long we're going to be experiencing that, or they are. We don't necessarily need to know. It's just being really focused on the here and now and honouring where you are or where the other is in what's going on for them. Talking about it, obviously, it can be very helpful if you're with someone who is very emotionally aware and has the capacity themselves to sit with you. Going to friends for therapy is not necessarily recommended because it's in our human nature to want to make things better and fix things. So we can often get caught in that mouse wheel of just throwing ideas and advice at someone. I know I've been guilty of doing that in my earlier years, of just wanting to make someone's discomfort go away. Obviously now I'm trained to sit with that discomfort, and I'm well practiced at that and much more comfortable with that approach, that if I see someone in need, I'm not shy in avoiding them. I can go sit with them. I do have that therapeutic expertise in my back pocket to work with and support me. So knowing our limitations, I wouldn't expect one of my kids to sit there and hold space for me while I'm unloading about something that's upset me or my hormones being out of balance. It's not their role to hold space for me, and they don't know how to. They're learning to become in touch with their own feelings and identify their feelings and process that and develop their own emotional intelligence and awareness. So it's knowing who you feel safe with first and foremost, and if you are that person for someone else, establishing boundaries. I have some really beautiful friendships that I'm available to them. I know it's reciprocal, that we can each share. I know I've got other friendships where they tend to lean on me more. I see more of them when they're struggling, and that's the nature of the friendship. And I know what my capacity is to hold that. So where to from here? I know for me, when I'm feeling like I'm just in that low point, it might be, coming up to a full moon, and we're all getting really antsy, where we are on our cycle as women. Our age can really impact where we're at. That life cycle, being a new mum, being in menopause, empty nester syndrome, being retired and no longer having that purpose of going to work and having a career day in and day out. There's all these situational experiences that can impact our mood, not just hormone or serotonin levels and chemical imbalances. There's so many ways our everyday can be impacted, and our coping mechanisms can be impacted. So how do we pull ourselves out of that, and how do we know when we need to pull ourselves out of that low point? Recognizing when we need additional support. Maybe we just need a really good rest and a few days off work to regroup, get on top of our sleep, look at our nutrition, look at our exercise, how much sunlight we're getting access to. Because something simple as working in an office day in, day out under fluorescent lights can really impact our cortisol levels, which then has a flow-on effect of impacting our sleep patterns. So if our sleep is quite erratic and all over the place, and we're not getting a good quality sleep and getting natural sunlight and physical movement, as well as a balanced diet, then things can quickly change. So it's taking a step back and looking at the basics first, and identifying, okay, go through my little checklist. Mood, sleep cycles, nutrition, exercise, routines, relationships. Are you feeling supported by your partner, your friends, family, neighbours, within your community? Identifying where support is coming from, and where you can lean in for guidance and help. And when we go through that checklist, we can then notice a pattern and have an idea of making a plan for moving forward, and being really open that maybe we need to consult with a professional, be that your local GP, your naturopath, your kinesiologist, your chiropractor, homeopath, your PT, your personal trainer, psychologist, mental health team, looking at all that's on offer for support for you, and reaching out for that additional intervention. Maybe it's time to explore medication support or herbal support, naturopathic support. If all the basics, like your sleep's not impacted or your diet's balanced, and go, okay, it's something else. If not, this, then what next? But having a heartfelt conversation with those closest to you and just putting your hand up and saying, hey, I'm not okay. I think I need some help. And if it's a case of just a low mood, maybe it is just some simple tweaks. And really honouring that. And sometimes when it is situational, maybe you're going through grieving the loss of someone or a change in job. You know, this current climate we're living in is really putting additional strain on families and young people and the elderly. Everyone, the cost of living has really increased. So we're not trying to raise people's anxiety and fear here. It's acknowledging there's really tough times going on for a lot of us. And if we can just be honest with ourselves and acknowledge that gives us then permission to seek to make change. If we deny that I'm just going to push on, ignore this pressure and this anxiety, that's when things blow up and fall out of our control. Our relationships really get tested and can be stretched beyond their limitations. And suddenly we have a breakdown of a relationship to contend with as well. So let's just really be mindful of where we're at right here, right now. Give ourselves some grace, give ourselves some love and care. And if we start with ourselves, we have greater capacity to share that with others and care for them as well in our wider community. There's a lot going on in the world that we don't have control over at the moment. So I know for myself, I don't bury my head in the sand. I keep informed from channels that I feel are unbiased and providing as true information as what we can get access to. But I also don't buy into the fear. There's events happening in the world that I have absolutely no control over. They don't impact my here and now. So I redirect my focus and attention on the here and now. I'm not denying what's going on, but I'm just not buying into the fear and panic that can be associated with that. If I look after my own backyard first, then I have capacity to really be able to do that for others. And it's that old saying of a mother needs to put her own oxygen mask on first before she puts it on her child. It's just really being present to ourselves. Thank you for showing up for yourself by listening to Soul Therapy with Chelle. Feel welcome to subscribe to my podcast, share the pod with your friends, family, colleagues and neighbours. And please, if you are willing, I would absolutely love a 5-star review to give my little pod a boost in the algorithms. For further detail on how to work with me, please visit my website www.chellegriffin.com or find me on the socials. I hope you'll join me on my next episode. Till then, go gently and intentionally. With care, Chelle.